Hello and welcome back. Today's video is a little bit different as I can finally share after 2 years that I will be appearing in The Elder Scrolls Skywind as 12 different characters.
Killing is neither sinful nor dishonorable, but may be imprudent or wasteful.
And so to make things interesting, I thought I would break the video into 3 distinct parts. The first is what is Skywind, for those of you not in the know. The second is how I got the part and the recording process. And third is a brief showcase of said characters, which I need to stress, this footage is not indicative of the final game, and I was graciously given it by the 2D lead of Skywind, Dalsifo DS, and a huge shout out to the whole team. As you're about to learn, it takes so much work to make this project come to life. Which segues us nicely to, what is Skywind? Well, according to the website blurb I'm reading, Skywind is a total recreation of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind built from the ground up in the more modern Skyrim Special Edition engine. Skywind sheds the shackles of the older games, bringing modern graphics, assets and sounds, a full cast of voice actors and one questionable Australian, and all the benefits of 15 years of game improvements while preserving the incredible characters, locations and quests with which Morrowind charmed the world all those years ago. Which is very exciting for those of you who want to experience Morrowind for the first time or again, but with the features found in modern day Elder Scrolls games. Which brings us to part 2 of how I got involved in the project, because it feels so inaccessible from the outside, so I thought I would break it down into little tiny pieces so that you could see each step. The first was, I play Oblivion nearly every day, and I'm voice acting against the characters in Oblivion.
You're in luck, Phalion, my friend. I have some skooma with your name on it.
You have skooma? Oh, my friend. Yeah, you're my friend now. Thank you. Thank you.
One of whom is Wes Johnson, who is an incredible voice actor, and I follow him on X. Well, he started to advertise that he holds some voice acting classes on theatreclub.com every couple of months. And I decided, why don't I try and brush up on my skills? It's something that you always have to work on, voice acting. So I joined a handful of other voice actors every week on Theatre Club, and we were training under Wes Johnson, but also he would give us invaluable tips on the industry and also roles that were upcoming. One of the roles shared by Wes, or perhaps one of the students, was the upcoming title Skywind. And obviously most people who had joined Wes Johnson's class were a fan of some of his voice work, and a couple of people from the class ended up in Skywind, would you believe? So I followed their instructions and head to a website. I believe it's called Casting Call Club. And there were a smattering of roles that happened to pop up that I thought that I possibly could handle. Some I couldn't. One, for example, is a scamp from Morrowind you may or may not recognize as he's talking. And I was given directions. He's obviously male and has a wise talking accent, perhaps a New Yorker one. So I did my own take on that, which I'm not afraid to share, though. Leave your feedback in the comments.
Want a drink, buddy? I got anything you want, so long as it's Sujama. Come on, help us scamp out. You gotta need something. I've got booze. What's a scamp gotta do? Ow! Die! Whoa! Ha!
The role that I did get was of 12 different varying Dark Elves. And the reason being, I believe, is because the example that had been given is obviously Jeff Baker, who voiced the Dark Elves in Morrowind, has a very smoky voice. It's very much in the throat. And my own voice, when I'm talking normally, as you can hear, it's pretty up here and jubilant, but the more that I try and talk with Dark Lord, the lower it goes, and suddenly it's not hard for me to get that raspy aspect to my voice. So I applied and then got the role of the different Dark Elves. So after my audition was accepted, I was sent to a website called ClickUp, and it was there that I was assigned my roles. And basically, I got a sheet of 600 lines with all of the characters, their inflections, but also handy tools because Morrowind wasn't fully voiced, like pronunciation guides and best practices for recording. So I was really in good hands, and the team basically said, if you ever need anything, we have a Discord as well, come see us. And I was also assigned basically like a voice acting guide who would also clean up the lines and then give me what they call pickups or retakes if I ever flubbed a line, which we will get to. So I voiced the original 600 lines and had multiple different characters who have multiple different reads, and I'll give you an example. One was intoxicated, the other was a sleeper, so he's being controlled by Dagoth, which was daunting to take on so many characters and their different inflections and also their character traits. More so was probably the combat lines, which were insane to try and make yourself sound. It sounds so simple in the game, but it's actually quite difficult to get those out. But also the pronunciations tripped me up because you never really heard them. I go to the guide, record the lines, but then when I sent all of the lines over, I would get a little bit of a tap on the shoulder, dash, you need to redo these lines. Then on the right-hand side of the bar would come these little tips on how to pronounce things properly. This happened 2 or 3 times, and by the way, I'm living my life, and this is a span of a long time, so I would actually get quite anxious if I kept on messing up some of the lines or things would happen in my life. And shout out to Joy, the VA and co-writing lead. She would kindly hit me up on Discord and be like, you said you'd do this in a week, it's been a month. Can you please do your lines? And I am embarrassed to admit that I put it off, but I just wanted to do the community proud, because if anybody ever recognized me, they would be like, Dash, you half-assed these characters, and I would never live it down. So I chewed through some of these retakes, and I'm telling you, if you've never said the words before out loud, like Civvy, I think Kulumer was one that really I was stressing the wrong part, and they handily break it down into syllables so you kind of know phonetically how to say the word. You can still mess them up. Shout out to Lacuna of Light, who looked after me and my voice lines. He edited them. He got to the point, I think it was at retakes number 3, we'd whittled it down a lot, but he was actually recording the lines himself and saying some of them just to help me across the board, because it sounds silly on paper, but it's so easy to just stress the wrong thing. You're trying to keep in mind that you're a character and you're also acting is the number one thing. So the pronunciation means less to you when you're acting because you're trying to make it feel real. But to the folks that have to edit it down, and there's a whole team on this ClickUp board that are assigned to people, they're chopping it down. They're making sure that there's no, say, I did a lot of mouth clicks would happen or something mechanical, or if I got really too much into a combat line, I might bump the table. They had to tell me, hey, do this again, but stitch some lines together. So it had to flow seamlessly. So there was a lot of moving parts. And this is just one guy doing a couple of characters when there are hundreds in the game. And so I'm a small corner of the Skywind project to give you a little bit of the scope. After all of that, I think after 3 or 4 different retakes of many, many lines and screaming combat lines at the top of my lungs, I finally got to a point where all of my lines were approved and they were ready to go into the game. After which I contacted Joy and I said, I think I would like to make a video about this to spread the awareness of Skywind because I've had so much fun and I just want to showcase all of your hard work. And so the 2D lead, Dalcypher Diaz, who, as I previously stated, had recorded all of this footage to share, basically came back and said, okay, I'm going to take more time out and I'm going to do a lot of recording of these characters, some of which hadn't been fully implemented into the game. And Lacuna and Cypher Diaz were gracious enough to tell me which lines that they really enjoyed. So this moves us into part number 3, some of the characters that I voiced that you shall see in game. First up, I actually enjoyed the generic combat lines and taunts more than I thought I would. Actually, let's be real, the taunts are amazing.
Well, well, another maggot to squash beneath my boot. You will rot here, rot! Never should have come here. I fought guas more ferocious than you. Die! This is the end of you, Swit. Your life's end is approaching. Surrender your life to me, and I will end your pain. Die, Fetcher.
And I got to say the thing.
You, Enwa.
Second, if we want to see an NPC in their natural habitat, such as Lalandris Thorandus, a dark elf enchanter who works for the Tribunal Temple in High Fane in Vivek's Temple Canton. And here's a snippet of his dialogue.
You haven't been in Morrowind long, have you? I can tell.
If all it takes is a little persuasion, a flask of Telvanni bug musk is what you need. Makes even an orc charming. What could kill 2 ordinators before they can draw their weapons? Slit their throats. Happened right here in Vivek. Got to be a sorcerer or vampire. The Office of the Watch in the Hall of Justice is worried about sending their own ordinators out after this killer. Not interested. Well, you may think so. But I don't. So, what kind of information did you need?
A character I also found interesting to explore was Rararan Rodaris, a dark elf commoner wandering the streets of Balmora west of the River Odai. He's one of the sleepers under the influence of Dagoth Fovon.
Beneath Red Mountain, Lord Dagoth sleeps. But when he wakes, we all shall rise, and the dust will blow away. Serve your Lord Dagoth. The 6th house is risen, and Dagoth is its glory. He is the Lord and Father of the mountain. He sleeps, but when he wakes, we shall rise from our dreams, shall sweep our land clean of the Enwa. Why have you denied him? As Lord Dagoth has said, all shall greet him as flesh or as dust.
Unfortunately, the one character I really wanted to see that we couldn't get on screen due to being a random encounter is a random hostile drunk, whose lines, of course, I also adored portraying. Give me more Dark Lore.
Just try me, Enwa. Get out of my land, you filth. Okay. No, I'm not okay. Outlanders like you are ruining my home. Filthy, rotten scum! Just another useless Anwa.
Anyway, that's the story of how I shall appear in the Elder Scrolls Skywind. I've had a blast. I do want to say again, beating this dead horse, which orcs eat. I'm just blown away by the folks at Skywind or Skyblivion, anybody who puts all of their effort, and they're not paid, into these mods that are games themselves, basically, whole new fresh titles and takes. They may get shut down any day by legal troubles, be damned, but they still plow ahead. But I do want to again give a massive thank you to them. If you think you have any skills that could aid them, whether Skywind or Skyblivion, head over to their websites, throw your hat in the ring, or just give them a shout on social media. But let me know what you thought of my take on some of the Dunmer in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, traveller.